The shoes that you see here represent the 38 overdoses that have happened since January 1st of 2018 in Minnehaha County alone. We think it's very appropriate that we have empty sets of shoes here because these are the people we're missing in our community. The balloons that you see here also represent the number of overdoses. The 15 balloons on the step represent the number of overdose deaths since the start of 2019. And the big balloons that you see up here, there are 60 of them. That's how many overdoses we've had in Minnehaha County since the start of 2019. A couple of dozen were saved by Narcan. So this problem is not going away and it's continuing in our community. I just want to say thank you to everybody for being here tonight. It's really important to be here, and we'll hope that this becomes an annual event and that you will continue to support this. It's really important, I think, as family members, we get the support from the community. I think everyone here who has lost a loved one would agree with that. Just want to thank all of you for coming out. We appreciate it so much. We have so many people to thank for making this possible. We'd like to thank the city of Sioux Falls and the first responders that are here. We have some firefighters over here, some police officers over here. Those are the people that respond to every overdose call that comes in. They carry Narcan and they save lives. So we're so grateful for all the lives they have saved. We'd like to thank Culligan for providing the water, Flyboy for providing the donuts. If you didn't get one, please take one. The shoes were provided by Savers and Goodwill. Ransom Church, of course, Addiction Policy Forum. The Flour Mill provided all of the ribbons that you have. And also, of course, Emily's Hope and Avera for providing, in each one of your bags is a kit where you can dispose of prescription drugs. So it's an easy way to get rid of those so they don't fall into the wrong hands. I'd like to start by welcoming Mayor Paul Tenhagen. Some of you may not know the connection to my daughter Emily, but she was a nanny for their kids for a couple of years while she was in high school on her first year out of high school. So they have been so supportive, and we have a lot going on in the city to try to help combat this problem, and we're going to let Paul take it from there.
All right, thank you, Angela and Melissa and all of the organizers tonight. I'm glad we can do this on the steps of City Hall. I love the symbolism of the gathering here tonight. As Angela mentioned, we do have a personal connection to her family and to her daughter Emily, who was I would say our kid's favorite babysitter that we had for many years. And when I got into office, actually, shortly after that time, it was when Emily passed away. We have a piece for art hanging. My office is right here in this corner, and right outside my office is a picture of Emily and her art. And not only is it great art, but it serves as a reminder to me. Every time I enter my office, I see her. I see that art, and it's a reminder of why I'm in office and the type of challenges that we have in our city, and how I'm called to try and help those, and we as a city are called to try and help those. Two things I want to really highlight. One, to our first responders that are here, our police officers that are here, we have an incredible law enforcement community that is working tirelessly to get this poison out of our community. And so I first want to thank them, because I have been really impressed and blown away at the work of our narcotics crimes unit, our drug task force, our frontline patrolmen and women. But that's just the enforcement piece. We have treatment needs, we have education needs, and actually right around the corner here, on the other side of this building, you maybe heard the community talking about a triage center that I've really been working hard on the last year to gather the funding and the support to open that. And that will be a place where our detox and sobering services will be, and a place where we'll be able to take people rather than an incarceration option, but try to get them the help they need versus simply putting them into the system. And so, as you can tell, it's a topic that's important to me. It does happen here. It does happen in Sioux Falls. And I'll be so bold as to say there's not a day that goes by that I don't hear about a challenge in my office that's related to our narcotics challenges in our community. So one thing that you all can do is continue to talk about it. Don't hide from it. If you know someone who's affected by addiction, do something about it. Don't wait. because every day counts and every minute counts. And so it's an honor to have you here with me today, and to the organizers of this event, thanks for shedding light on this important topic. Thank you.
All of the events that we've had for Emily's Hope, the Ten Hakens, both Paul and his wife Jill have been so supportive and have gone above and beyond helping because they do realize the problem in this community. I am now part of a club that I didn't want to join, that nobody wants to join, of parents who have lost children. And I've met so many people along the way. And one of them is Denise Blomberg, who lost her son Ryan. Denise, I'm gonna bring you up here now. Ryan and Melissa's stepson Nicholas and Emily all went to the same elementary school here in Sioux Falls. And the irony of that is not lost upon me or any of us. And I'm going to let Denise tell you a little bit about Ryan's story.
Good evening, everybody. It is exciting and sad and humbling to see all of your faces on the steps of City Hall tonight. My name is Denise Blomberg, as Angela mentioned. I've lived in Sioux Falls for nearly 40 years now. Came here to go to college, got married, never left, had my children, and this is home, and it's one of the greatest places in the world to live. I'd like to thank Mayor Ten Haken, our first responders, our friends and family, and people who have gathered here tonight as we honor those whose lives have been lost and celebrate the lives who have been saved thanks to the medical advances that we have with Narcan and first responder services. This event tonight is part of an International Overdose Awareness Day that was started back in the early 2000s that is celebrated around the world. And I use the word celebrate in kind of a tone that's uncomfortable, because when we come together to celebrate something, it's like Christmas or Thanksgiving, but we are celebrating awareness, we're celebrating people's lives being saved, and we are honoring those who have passed. The United States leads the world in drug-related deaths, not something that we should be incredibly proud of. And 192 people a day die of drug overdose deaths in our country, 192. And I don't know how many we have here gathered tonight, but imagine if all of us just disappeared on a daily basis. And many of the folks who are here tonight have lost somebody on one of those 365 days of the year. And it's their brothers, their sisters, mothers, fathers, aunts, uncles, in some cases grandmothers and grandfathers, and there are children. And no parent ever thinks that they are going to outlive their children. And many people have lost children in their lives for other reasons beyond overdoses, so we grieve with you. But it's not something, as Angela said, it's not a club that any parent and any mother wants to be a member of. You don't wake up in the morning going, geez, I hope that I have something that I can advocate on behalf of my kids today, other than like PTA, sports, stuff like that. You never wake up thinking, today is going to be the day I'm going to lose a child and my life is going to change forever. For us, that day was April 10th of 2018. My son Ryan is the third of 4 children, 3 boys and then a daughter, ranging in age from 32 down to 25. Ryan was brilliant. He spoke fluent Spanish. He was very talented musically. He had the kindest heart, and there's nothing he wouldn't do for anyone else in the world. But in his late teens, he started to go down a path that was not something that we would have ever chosen. And that's the path that many people in this audience have seen, family, friends, or even experienced it yourself, the dark road of addiction and trying to get your child into recovery or treatment. And it is one of the most arduous things that you can ever do as a parent. But as a parent, you never stop loving your kids. We love our kids unconditionally. We never give up on them. So it was on Memorial Day in 2016 when Ryan finally said, I need help. And we were so grateful to get him to the help that he needed. He went through inpatient treatment, on to outpatient treatment, moved into a sober living house, got a job. He worked the 12-step Narcotics Anonymous program like no one else. He was making a difference in the lives of hundreds of people who we've never had the opportunity to meet. And just shy of 2 years of recovery, on April 10th, in a weak moment, Ryan thought he bought what was a hit of heroin, which should have really not done anything other than make him sick because he hadn't done drugs for a long time. And instead what he had purchased was enough fentanyl to kill 5 grown people. Ryan didn't intend to die that day. His life was going great. He used to say that treatment is one thing, but recovery is an everyday and a lifetime thing. And until we view addiction as the medical disease that it is versus the stigma that society has about people laying in alleys with syringes hanging out of their arms, until we realize that these people that are dying are brilliant, loved, educated, and offering things to our society, and that addiction should be put in the same category as cancer or lung disease and diabetes, we are going to continue to have people that we've lost, and we continue to look down on them. We need to stop that as a society. So I'm grateful that our city and our law enforcement and our first responders, our healthcare systems, our churches, counselors, the general public have really started, because of things like tonight, become more aware that this is a problem, not just in New York or Los Angeles, but right here in the Midwest. The fact that 38 people have died in this county alone, that's an epidemic, folks. It's something that we all need to take seriously and really continue those conversations, as Pastor Mueller said, continue to be there for folks, because there's not one person standing in front of me tonight that hasn't been personally touched by somebody who has some sort of addiction of any sort, who is struggling with mental illness, who is struggling and needs the power of one person to care about them. You know, as we came together as a family to celebrate Ryan's life, and I look out over the audience tonight, and there's so many special people here who are friends or who are people that we've known for years. We're grateful that we have been surrounded by the love and prayers and support of so many. And as Angela mentioned, and Melissa as well, we're part of a group that we really didn't want to be a member of. But as families and as friends, the only choice that we are left, because our children will never join us again physically on this earth, is to make a difference in the life of somebody who needs somebody to be kind to them. As I mentioned, am just so grateful to everything that we have done here in Sioux Falls. Ryan, a little bit more about Ryan. Ryan was very musically gifted. And when he was in treatment, music was a gift from his soul. He played the piano by ear. And even in the darkest times when Ryan was in the throes of addiction and would disappear for days at a time, he would come home and he would sit and play the piano for a couple of hours, just nonstop, going through his entire repertoire. And it was in that time that I could see that my son was still in there, and I just can't give up. So I'm grateful as a family that we were able to encourage him and get him the help he needed, and then be there for him as he went through recovery, surrounded by so many people who he was in his 12-step programs with. So many people who had maybe cast him, maybe in our city, who had maybe knew him when he was using and thought, oh, he's just an addict. As I mentioned, these folks are important, as is anybody who is struggling. And so as we come together tonight to celebrate, we really need to celebrate the lives of everybody each and every day, and not just in their time of need. We live in a world that can sometimes be a very unkind place to live, and we hear this a lot anymore. Be kind, because you don't know the struggles of that person who you meet on the street or meet in your day-to-day job, or you don't know their story. So it's up to us as a society, and I'm charging all of you and challenging you tonight to be kind, to be open, to be there for people when they need you, whether or not you know them or not, and to support family members that are supporting loved ones in need. But I thank you so much for coming tonight. I am honored to stand aside two ladies that have shown incredible strength this last year as well, in Melissa Flynn and Angela Kennecke. As Angela mentioned, when your kids are different ages, but they go to the same school, and you're a mom that's lost a child, the greatest gift that we can have as a family is to know that our children did not die in vain. Thank you so much for allowing me to share Ryan's story tonight. Thank you so much for being here.
I think that's what all three of us moms would say, that we want our children's lives to have meant something, that we can make a difference to make sure no other family has to suffer through what we have suffered through. I know there are other families here that have. Just today, the report came out on 27-year-old Tyler Skaggs, who's with the Angels, that he passed away from fentanyl as well, and he's a star pitcher, rising star, and I just think it can happen to anybody in any socioeconomic group, from any family. Addiction does not discriminate. I'd like to call up Melissa Flynn now, who has a poem that she'd like to share with you.
Good evening. As Angela mentioned, my name is Melissa Flynn. I lost my stepson a little over a year ago. He was 25 years old. It was May 26, 2018. Thank you very much for being here. I think this is a very important event. I want to share a poem that was shared with me by a dear friend, Sarah Crosby. She was going to read this tonight, but was unable to be here. The poem is in the book, The Zen of Recovery by Mel Ash. If you are here to read this, think of those who aren't. Pray for them. Good thoughts for those who lost their minds, love, and years to compulsion, addiction, and fears. Think of their great sacrifice. We recover on the bones of others. Wrap your loving thoughts around them. Alone no more. If you are here and recovering your original shining true self, a moment of silence for those driven mad by the voices and screams of disease-driven dreams. We walk from night to day on a path made of the bones of others. Hold them tightly in the warm arms of your spirit, cold no more. If you are here and attaining freedom, 1,000 bows for those who didn't reach this shore and drown in a sea of despair, suffering no more. We walk in freedom past cages made of the bones of others. They hand us the keys of desperation. Quench their burning thirst with the tears of your soul. Calm their cravings, still their minds. Grant them peace in the dark and lonely places below and above the ground. Fill the gaping holes left by their deaths with the immensity of your love. Remember them as you sleep. Remember them as you wake. Only a thought is the difference between you and the bones of others. Thank you.